Bangkok International in Thailand. One of the busiest airports in Southeast Asia, but also a gateway to crime and corruption.
Well, in Bangkok, you have a bit of everything, and some people describe it as a Wild West.
It is well known that this part of the world is a staging post for criminal gangs smuggling endangered animals.
Suvarnabhumi Airport here in Bangkok, it's a hub. So you have flights coming in from all over the world, from every continent. And because of that excellent infrastructure, these organized criminal groups and their ringleaders use this as a base.
Working closely with the Thai police, in early 2014, undercover support officers are watching a gang they believe are illegally trafficking rare and endangered tortoises and turtles into Thailand.
What we're seeing with this particular group is courier traffic. So we're getting paid couriers on passenger flights, and they're bringing the turtles smuggled in, checked in baggage.
They've received a tip-off. A team of couriers are bringing in a large consignment of endangered Hamilton turtles from Bangladesh. Using a hidden camera, an agent records the action as it unfolds.
There were a group of 4 guys that walked out of the security section that fitted the profile of the couriers I was waiting for. When I saw the couriers walk through, it struck me as strange because not one of them was carrying a suitcase.
This was a puzzle. How can they be couriers if they haven't got any bags? But then there's a development.
And straight after they walked through, the airport official, who was wearing a white shirt with an airport identity tag attached to it, approached one of his junior colleagues. So the junior official went off to get the bags from airside and bring them back, bypassing all security procedures.
The luggage is then handed over to the suspected couriers. This is highly irregular.
Once the couriers have been reunited with their bags, I followed them down the walkway to the taxi area.
The agent recognizes a pattern of behavior.
I noticed that the suitcases were exactly the same type that had previously been used by this trafficking group on previous seizures. It appears that the trafficking network favour these suitcases because they're rigid on the outside and they protect the animals inside.
Each suitcase often contains as many as several hundred endangered baby turtles, worth millions of dollars in the Far East. But today the team aren't looking to make arrests. They're hoping that by following them, they'll eventually catch the criminal kingpins who make millions out of the illegal animal trafficking trade. This airport operation is being conducted by a highly specialist charity, the Freeland Foundation, who work in conjunction with the Thai police. Freeland are an international non-governmental organization funded by World Animal Protection donations and a number of US governmental agencies.
I'm sure you're feeling it, that there's growing demands and expectations on this organization.
Set up by Steve Galster, a veteran campaigner on arms and human trafficking. It aims to combat the illegal wildlife trade.
I set up Freeland with colleagues years ago because the world has woken up to the fact that organized crime is actually running the wildlife trade. So our mission is to develop interest and action inside the governments and make wildlife trafficking a priority.
What makes Freeland different is its hands-on approach. It is authorized to use its skills and training to support the Thai government in law enforcement operations concerning wildlife crime.
It's really important to have a good working, trusted collaboration between the private organization like us, Freeland, and the local police, because as private citizens, obviously we cannot arrest, investigate, prosecute. That's something only the state can do.
The collaboration with the Thai police is absolutely critical. The best we can do is pass on our tips to them, and they have to make the arrests.
Working in Thailand, they focus on protecting a number of endangered species. One of the most significant are turtles and tortoises. Bangkok has become the hub of the illegal trade in these animals. After being smuggled in from India and Africa, they are then often smuggled out to the Far East. The endangered reptiles coming through Bangkok are for two distinct markets: as exotic food or as luxury pets.
Turtles and tortoises have had a very sad story for years, and it's been very difficult actually to get people to look at the situation with turtles and tortoises because they're not as maybe charismatic as tigers, elephants, and all the other animals that we're all reading about. But the fact is, they're diminishing quickly.
Highly prized in China and the Far East, individual specimens can fetch a small fortune.
It's like any organized criminal activity. There's a tremendous amount of money in these animals, from several $100s to thousands of dollars, depending on how endangered they are.
If this illegal trade isn't stopped soon, experts agree it will be too late for many of the rarest breeds.
It is a big worry, the fact that a lot of these animals are being traded in such huge numbers. First of all, for the really rare animals, there aren't that many species or individuals in the wild anyways, and they're just getting cleaned out.
To help achieve this, Galster has assembled a tough team with a common aim: to use modern policing and military techniques to help the Thai authorities catch wildlife criminals and put them behind bars.
And the couriers, I mean, are we seeing repeat offenders? You must be using the same people.
So to do our job, I had to bring in former law enforcement officers who have different specialities from different countries. Hired former New Scotland Yard detective, former FBI, former Australian Special Forces, as well as people from the region.
At the heart of the fight against the turtle and tortoise smuggling trade is a man we can only refer to as Dave. For ongoing security reasons, along with some of his team, he can't be shown on camera.
I spent 20 years as a cop, so I started off in Scotland Yard. I went to the National Crime Squad. That was then the Serious Organised Crime Agency before moving here to join Freeland.
With his extensive policing experience, Dave runs what Freeland call their Special Investigations Unit, like a wildlife FBI.
Although this is wildlife trafficking, the traffickers are using exactly the same methods as traffickers of other goods, like drugs, human beings. They're exploiting weaknesses in infrastructure. They're paying off corrupt cops and other officials. So the investigation techniques we use are pretty much identical.
The Special Investigation Unit's focus is not on catching the foot soldiers, but on helping the Thai police catch the big players at the heart of this illegal trade. Intelligence from tip-offs and low-level couriers, like the ones spotted at the airport, have time and time again led their investigators to one of Bangkok's biggest tourist attractions, Chatuchak Market. But behind the tourist trinkets, there lies a dark side to the market. An area selling endangered animals.
Chatuchak Market is the bane of our existence, and you know, it's one of those things where a legal trade masks the illegal trade.
This footage was taken undercover by Freeland's investigation support officer, Ongkuri Majumdar.
This is the 22nd of March and the time is 10:15 a.m. I'm about to enter Chatuchak Plaza.
The Freeland team make regular undercover visits to investigate traders. The trick is not to be noticed.
We have to mix up the techniques a bit with different people going in. Sometimes we use Thai people, sometimes we use foreign people.
Posing as a tourist, Ongkuri tries to buy an endangered tortoise to take overseas as a souvenir.
These are Indian stuff?
Yes.
How much are these?
2,000.
Although that's only about $60, there are other rarer specimens here that can sell for as much as $32,000. But the Indian star is still a protected species. It is illegal to take this creature out of the country, and the trader knows this, so he offers tips on smuggling.
So how will you take it on the flight?
On the flight?
Yeah.
Normally, my customer come from another country. Hidden in the bag.
Oh, in the
luggage.
in the carry-on baggage or check-in baggage?
Because baby size, that's easy.
Okay.
Someone put in the shoe.
Oh, in the shoe.
Put in the box.
Okay.
Put in the suitcase.
They'll tell you things like tape up the shell of the animal and hide it in your shoe. That way it won't show in an X-ray because it won't move, so no one will think there's a living animal in there.
Ongkuri and the authorities could try and move in on this guy now, but it wouldn't have much effect. Everyone is hoping that a low-level trader like this will eventually lead them to a Mr. Big. As the operation develops, Freeland build up a network of contacts and informers. Increasingly, the name of one big trader keeps cropping up. Given the codename ZZ Top, Freeland believe he is one of the kingpins of the trade.
ZZ Top is a Bangladeshi and a major player in the illegal tortoise trade. An organizer, he is that upper level. He is the person that has the couriers, his minions, bringing tortoises into Bangkok, where they're then sold off to other buyers in China.
But despite their suspicions, there is no solid evidence actually linking him to the illegal trafficking trade. And they haven't even seen him at the market.
He's a good criminal, he's careful, he doesn't go hands-on, he uses middlemen to do his dirty deals for him. It's like any crime, the people at the top of the chain, they're the hardest to get.
But then, by chance, this happens.
My colleague and I, we were doing a recce in Chatuchak market. And then walking past one of the shops, we saw the big trader. He did not seem to be buying or transacting. He was having a discussion with another person we believe was a big trader. So we filmed him doing that, and then he walked through Chatuchak market.
Ongkuri continues her surveillance as he enters a pet store in an area of the animal market most known for illegal trafficking.
We followed him in there. Before we entered that shop, he was having a conversation. Again, not transacting, but just a very intense, focused sort of conversation. The moment we walked in, he stopped and he pretended to be a customer looking at the cages. And when we walked out, he started talking again.
Spotting him in the market is a significant breakthrough and a good starting point for the operation. Alongside ZZ Top, Freeland also focuses on another known trader in Chatuchak market. Codename Stone, they believe he is one of ZZ Top's main contacts.
Stone is Taiwanese, and he's connected to ZZ Top. He's a dealer and a smuggler.
We know for a fact that he's selling endangered species, and that's where he makes his real money.
He's one of the, I guess, organizers, because he'll put out adverts and let people know I've got these coming in, these reptiles, and then they're sold off.
Right, gonna get some work done today, mate. Let's hope so.
With 2 targets identified, the Special Investigations Unit and the Thai police start surveillance and intelligence gathering. Codenamed Rabbit, the operation is now live. They need to join the dots and build up a bigger picture of how their suspected illegal syndicate works.
A good investigation, if you're really, really lucky, is going to take, a couple months. But when you're dealing with hardened crooks who know exactly what they're doing, it can take a couple years. And the frustration that we have is when you're dealing with wild animals, they don't have a couple years in some cases.
Their first challenge is to discover as much about their targets as possible. They don't even know where ZZ Top lives.
He's done very well to keep his address off the radar of the authorities. His car's registered at a different address completely, an address that probably doesn't even exist. We've not been able to find it.
But then out of the blue, the team get a lucky break.
I ran into ZZ Top at the hospital and called my guys up and said, you should be following him to find out where he lives. He's right here, right now.
Freeland's investigation support officers rush to the scene. ZZ Top leads them to a restaurant. They discover he owns it.
The restaurant is like most of the others around there. They serve Arabic and South Asian cuisine, but our information suggests that he's using this restaurant as a front for his criminal business.
Now they can start their surveillance.
They are all creatures of habit. At the end of the day, they might try to change things up, but you just need that one initial entry point to find out who they are, who they deal with, and start putting that whole supply chain together to figure out what's the syndicate really look like.
While we've been watching the place, we've seen people that we suspect to be involved in other criminality there. For example, there were a couple of people in there the other day that we suspect were dealing in counterfeit passports.
The surveillance pays off. ZZ Top leads them to his home.
ZZ Top's house was discovered after we followed him from the restaurant to the house. We pretty much tailgated him the whole way.
Well, we're just coming up on Sukhumvit Soy 1. Right, the green building just up here on the left is his condo. So if you look to the left here now, that's the entrance to his car park. And this is the main door just on the left to his condo.
Now they've found ZZ Top, they can start digging deeper. Who does he meet? Where does he go? Does he do anything unusual?
Hi mate, how you doing? James, I'm on plot now with a visual on his home address. But if you can give direction, I'll be able to cover movement both ways.
After days of routine surveillance, things suddenly pick up.
Yeah, so one afternoon, on a normal afternoon of surveillance, we were following ZZ Top.
He's right at the front of the restaurant.
Yeah.
He's sitting down with him, from what I can see, looks like an Asian man, yeah, and they're having a little meeting and he's very alert.
This activity is far from routine. The team have never seen the Asian man, now meeting ZZ Top before.
Whatever is happening right now is business.
It's business, yeah, for sure.
This Asian male was acting very funny. He was all fidgety, and we'd never seen him before. We've never seen a photo of him. We've never seen any kind of information about this man before.
If he's called someone onto a meeting, we want to try and identify. I knew it was a criminal meet right from the first time I saw him that day. You could just tell by his actions. He was agitated, he was on the phone non-stop.
Suddenly, the Asian man makes a move. Waiting in a car around the corner, Dave decides to try and intercept him. But he needs to know from James which direction he's heading in. But tracking a suspect in downtown Bangkok presents its own problems.
Can you see where he goes at the junction? Hold up. Yeah, he's going all the way down to Soy 1.
Heading out onto the main road, they lose him. The target is nowhere to be seen.
James, it's not the car, mate. He's not coming back. Our team wasn't big enough. We didn't have enough people to stick with the bad guys. We managed to get a photo of the unidentified chap, but the bottom line is we lost him.
After days of getting closer to ZZ Top, missing this opportunity to track his contact is a blow for the team. Clearly something is going down, but they have no idea what. The team is stood down for the day. Meanwhile, surveillance on Operation Rabbit's secondary target, Stone, one of Chatuchak Market's biggest suspected smugglers, continues. Compared to ZZ Top, Stone is more open, even advertising his trade on social media.
Just posted up an hour ago that he is a new arrival of black-spotted turtles.
Right, okay.
All right, just letting you know.
Things are starting to fall into place, mate.
Also thanks to social media, Dave has been able to discover where he lives.
He made the mistake of putting lots of photos of his house on Facebook where he's trying to sell his stuff. So I spent one night just going through Google Street View and actually managed to identify it from the surrounding houses.
He lives in a quiet suburb in Bangkok, off a main road, and his residence is completely gated out the front, so it's not actually that easy to see into his residence.
Having confirmed his location, the team plan a mission to gather evidence. This is a reconstruction of the events. Late at night, they return to his address looking for proof of his involvement in the illegal trafficking trade.
We've used an old technique of going through people's rubbish, which we do with the authority of the police. You'd be surprised what people throw away. It's given us phone numbers, good starting points, and evidence of trafficking.
Opening a rubbish bag, they find it is full of decomposing turtles, proving Stone at least deals in the animals.
So everything worked well up until the point where I had to grab a hold of the garbage bag and throw it into the car, by which point not only the car but myself were completely covered in turtle sludge.
Back in the office, the team review the evidence.
We're going to Try and get those species from Stone's front garden identified. See if any of them are Appendix 1.
Despite discovering proof of a turtle delivery to Stone's house, they were too decomposed to tell what type they were, or even if they were illegal. It seems that after months of lifestyle surveillance on ZZ Top and Stone, the team still have nothing concrete connecting the targets to any illegal networks. Surveillance resumes on ZZ Top's house.
Right, is Surat's team available now? Yeah, I brief him. All right, well, tell them to get to the plot as soon as possible. I'll meet them on plot and brief them then. Yeah, it was like a typical day's surveillance.
Dave posts an operative outside ZZ Top's condo, standing by to inform him if he leaves.
And, yeah, all of a sudden, the day just springs into life.
ZZ Top is on the move.
Hey, mate.
Yeah, mate, they're heading down Soy 1.
Right, they've committed past that hospital junction, yeah?
You should see them in a minute or so, or 30 seconds.
This is a break-in routine. He's heading away from his usual haunts.
He's gone by, and we've followed them off from there.
Dave tails ZZ Top, but soon runs into a familiar problem.
Bangkok is a nightmare for surveillance. It's unlike anywhere I've worked. You can get stuck at a red light in Bangkok for 5 or 6 minutes. So if the guy you're following gets through the light and you don't, you can call it off.
Anxious to keep eyes on the target, Dave sends James ahead on foot to track ZZ Top's car.
Right, James, I want you to walk down towards the convict, stay behind him, just see if you can get a long eyeball on him. Yeah, I don't think he's made the junction yet. And just see if you can see how many cars are between me and him.
Okay.
Yeah?
They're about the 14th car in front of you.
That's slightly more than I'd like.
Then ZZ Top makes a move.
They just made a right turn.
Right, okay, we've done the illegal right. That takes him down towards the tollway, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to try and get there in time with that distance.
Right, jump in the car, mate. I'm going to do the illegal as well. The cop's letting people go right. The cop is letting people go right. He done the illegal right turn towards where you go up onto the motorway. And it took us about another 5 minutes before we could get to the same spot, so we lost him.
Yet again, it looks like that target has got away.
Did he do the tollway, did he?
I don't know. I think you just have to assume he's done that.
On a hunch, veteran cop Dave drives onto the expressway, steps on the gas, and heads downtown. They have intel linking ZZ Top to a warehouse in a district nearby. So Dave leaves the motorway and anxiously begins scanning the side streets for his car.
See the right in their hotel. See that blue sign, hotel? Yep, car's right there. Boom.
Yep, there he is. Brilliant.
Hurry up.
And sure enough, as we arrived on scene, there he is driving in and parking his car next to this money exchange shop.
They watch ZZ Top enter a small hotel. The team are curious about what's happening.
We saw him go into the hotel. It's not the sort of place you'd find on the internet or TripAdvisor, believe me.
The location has been well chosen. Tucked away down a dead-end street, next to a money exchange, getting eyes on the target here will be a major problem.
It's a difficult place to do surveillance on. There's not a lot of places you can watch it from a car covertly. He was there for a reason, that's for sure.
James heads towards the hotel for a closer look, whilst Dave remains concealed in the vehicle.
Yeah, mate.
The three guys walking towards you right now, they came out of the money exchange place.
Right, okay. Right, get video of these guys coming down on the left.
The men are of southern Indian appearance, a part of the world where many of the most endangered tortoises come from. More importantly, Dave believes they are the same men he'd seen going through customs without their bags, back at the airport in 2014. The team suspect they could be his couriers, but wonder why he is meeting them here.
Yeah, we kind of put two and two together and we think that those careers have just been paid by ZZ Top.
If they are right, this could be a major breakthrough, potentially linked the airport couriers to ZZ Top and got eyes on him in a new location. The case seems to be moving forward. The team are intrigued. Why is ZZ Top breaking cover and openly meeting his couriers? What is going on? Then news comes in of a massive turtle seizure, intercepted in Chennai, en route to Bangkok, just a couple of days earlier.
5 arrested in Trichy, which is southern India, for trying to smuggle 492 turtles to Bangkok. The turtles were seized from 5 people when they were trying to board a Orlando Airlines flight to Bangkok.
Is this the catalyst for ZZ Top's recent behavior? News from the bust in Chennai keeps coming in. Freeland's police contacts in India report that during the arrest they managed to seize the courier's mobile phones. This is potentially a great source of intel.
If their telephones were seized, then our officer over in India can look through their telephones, get the details, which we can then analyse and try and work out who's coordinating the couriers.
The seized phone records are analysed. The Thai police and Freeland's Special Investigations Unit spot a pattern, linking the captured Indian couriers with both targets ZZ Top and Stone.
For a Bangladeshi person to be friends with a person from Chennai and a Taiwanese person to be friends with the same person from Chennai is somewhat suspicious. So now we've connected both players to couriers who come from a certain place in India.
Slowly, the bigger picture is becoming clear. For the first time, they can link Stone and ZZ Top to the same courier network, which has been caught in the act of smuggling tortoises and turtles. Even so, this is not enough to take the targets down. The team still need to catch them in the act. The next day, Dave tries to find a suitable place to stake out the hotel and money exchange.
The place was just impossible to watch covertly from a vehicle. So we knew we had to try and find somewhere to look at it off-street. We found a place in a hotel nearby, got a room which afforded us a view, and we set up 24/7 surveillance in there.
Now, it's just about putting in the hours.
We sat looking out of the window down towards where the money exchange was. and just waited really, and waited.
This is the reality of criminal investigations. Waiting around for hours, hoping something will happen. The next day, there is a development. ZZ Top appears.
Sure enough, he turns up, goes in towards where the hotel and the money exchange shop is, comes back out a couple of hours later carrying a big bag. Don't know what was in the bag, but given all the circumstances, if I had to hazard a guess, I'd say it was money.
It seems as though the investigation is going well. But a few days later, ZZ Top just disappears. With no sightings and no idea where he's gone, the investigation stalls. They begin to feel they have hit a brick wall, or even worse, that he's on to them.
He's very secretive, he's very good, he's got good tradecraft, as we would say. He knows that he might be being watched.
He also invited the CI to
Days pass. Finally, ex-cop Dave makes the reluctant decision to scale down the surveillance on ZZ Top.
We've been through the budget. We're going to reduce the size of the police team because we don't need them all every day. If they're coming out sitting on a dead plot all day, we don't, it's just burning money, which we haven't got a lot of.
ZZ Top continues to be inactive, and nothing more happens. Eventually, the investigation into him is wound down completely.
Is it frustrating? Yeah, it's frustrating, because we were very close.
For the Freeland team, the only way to move Operation Rabbit forward is to once again switch focus back to their secondary target, Stone, the suspected supplier from Chatterchak Market. To draw him out into the open, the team decide to use a tried and tested police technique, a confidence buy.
A confidence buy is something you do when you need to connect that person to the crime. So law enforcement agencies will bless a purchase of the illegal commodity to build confidence between the undercover person and the trader, and that's when you catch them.
The aim is to gain Stone's confidence by purchasing a small number of illegal turtles. Then they'll ramp up the exercise. When he offers them a large consignment, they'll catch him in the act.
What we're trying to achieve there is evidence of the fact that he's actually got these illegal goods and that he's willing to sell them. Once we've bought the tortoises, we can identify them as critically endangered, then that's our evidence of an offence.
But before proceeding, they need to update the Thai police on the situation. Freeland have no power to make arrests and only operate in conjunction with them. Dave calls a meeting with Freeland and their contacts in Thailand's special branch.
All we need to do now is take it to the next step, yeah? So we want to find out who is meeting there, see if we can identify a vehicle from them, see if we can get Surat's team there in quick time, and then to follow off whoever is meeting there. And I'm sure they'll take us to a warehouse or wherever near the airport. He's got to have somewhere near the airport.
The next task is to make contact with Stone. Freeland's Thai case support officer, Paul, activates what is known as a confidential informant, or CI. He's one of their contacts and will make the confidence buy. Together, they telephone Stone. The plan works. Stone agrees to sell the CI some turtles. For security reasons, this part of the operation isn't filmed, and what follows is a reconstruction. They meet at his house. This is risky. It's vital Stone trusts the CI, or years of investigation work could be blown. Stone and the CI talk business.
Our guy went in there, struck a good relationship with Stone, successfully bought the animals that he wanted to buy.
The first stage of the confidence buy has worked. They have Stone's trust.
We've now been able to establish a bit of a connection with him where we can buy from him confidently and he'll sell to us, which is hopefully going to lead to an arrest.
The next phase is to catch Stone committing a major offence.
We're hoping that in the next few weeks we're going to try and do a larger buy from him of endangered tortoises.
How are we doing on funding?
This is the most important part of the operation.
You're going to get one good shot at this, and so you don't want to go in when you're not prepared. You want to be able to go in and grab all of the evidence that you need under rule of law.
Liaising with Case Officer Paul, the CI makes contact with Stone again.
Subject Stone told our colleague he could get whatever we want, and he named some of the rarest tortoises in the world. So our colleague made a deal with Subject Stone to purchase a number of critically endangered tortoises, which receive the highest level of protection under the law.
Another meeting is arranged. If they can catch him doing this deal, they've got him. Working with the Thai police, the team are now on standby to raid Stone's premises.
I spoke to some of the police we were working with, and that would have been all the evidence we needed to arrest the subject and prosecute him.
But then, suddenly, Stone starts putting them off.
Unfortunately, the deal didn't go as planned, as these things often happen. Subject Stone just started dodging the calls. He made several appointments to meet him, which he cancelled at the last minute. Now, why did this happen? I don't know. I can speculate. There may have been a tip-off. There may have been something that gave him cold feet. It may have just been bad luck. But the bottom line was we couldn't do it.
But then the news gets worse. Just like ZZ Top, Stone disappears. Eventually, they discover he's moved premises. But despite their best efforts, they can't locate him.
Yeah, it was another setback in the investigation when we found out he'd moved house. But it's just one of those things. These things happen in investigations. They can take all sorts of twists and turns, and it's just perseverance and hard work that gets these guys in the long run.
5 months later, the investigation grinds to a halt. Stone and ZZ Top remain at large, and the team are frustrated.
Losing ZZ Top was disheartening. Losing Subject Stone was even worse because we had a lot more evidence on Subject Stone than we had on ZZ Top. We're a lot closer.
But despite this setback, Freeland's work hasn't been wasted, and they have had some success. By following ZZ Top and Stone, they have identified other links in the criminal chain.
We have been able to build up networks of other traders who are linked to these key players in the industry based on the information that we've managed to compile over this past year.
We've identified the corrupt network of officials and other people that Subject ZZ Top was using to get these tortoises into the country.
So looking forward, I think that what we managed to attain was invaluable in regards to the future investigations which we conduct on the illegal tortoise and turtle trade in Thailand.
Freeland continue to monitor the situation. In recent weeks, ZZ Top has reappeared, and there is still a chance that they can take him down. In the meantime, at least he's not been dealing.
What we're really trying to do here is slow this business down, because this is a race for time. If we can slow them down, put them in jail, take away their money, that's going to reduce their impact on turtles, tortoises, and all the other animals they're smuggling.
Freeland know that the investigations alone won't stop this illegal trade. But it is a beginning. They are hopeful a wider understanding the damage this is doing to ecosystems around the world will lead to a greater commitment by the countries affected to stamping it out.